the hour of 8 o'clock. It's a good morning from us to you. It's a cold morning. The conditions quite seemingly reveal that you should be waking up and try to make some good money. We are off the list of almost leaving the month of February. It's just a day to go. Tomorrow will be the last day of the month, 28 days within it. And of course, we continue to give you more of these particular updates as they do happen in real time, if you are to ask me. But now, as we continue to give you more of these particular updates here on Smart Means Business, we start off this hour with our business tip of the morning. The business tip says, don't limit yourself. Many people limit themselves to what they think they can do. You can go as far as your mind lets you. So what you believe, remember that you can achieve. So never limit yourself, because many people rarely limit themselves to think to what they think they can do. Please go. You can go as far as your mind tells you, so make sure that is something that you should be able to at least work on towards this particular situation. And all right, that is according to what the business tips tells us this particular morning. But besides that, also, let's get our business quote of the morning. John C. Maxwell says, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. So as a business leader, you should know the way, you should be able to go the way, and you should be able to at least show the way for the people to know what is coming up. All right, now, our business update this morning is taking us to the annual performance report of the Dairy Development Authority, and this was released on Friday. There are huge highlights within this report, but first let's first get more of what was released during the report and how the DDA performed over last year before I can come and briefly break it down for you.
Development Authority is a government agency established under Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, and we are mandated to regulate and develop the dairy industry in the country. This mandate is given to us by the Dairy Industry Act of 1998. Now, this report is our annual publication that demonstrates accountability to the people and government of Uganda, on whose behalf we perform the mandate and the leadership of Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. Despite some challenges, the industry is on the course for recovery from the effects of COVID-19 pandemic and repositioning itself again for socio-economic transformation through employment, contribution to household income, the GDP, foreign exchange earnings, among others. And our most exported products now include powder milk, yogurt, cheese, butter oil, UHT, and casein, and whey protein that is going to different destinations of the world. We have registered key achievements in the volumes of export, which began to rise. Milk production and productivity has also steadily increased, and we have growth that is registered. But importantly, licensing of the dairy stakeholders, recruitment of staff, and also aligned our interventions to support the implementation of the parish development model. During the year in report, that's 21-22, milk prices at international, national and regional level remained high with limited volatility compared to the previous year. International raw milk retail prices stabilized at an average of $0.5 per liter, which is higher than the previous year. Asia and USA recorded higher milk prices compared to other trading regions like Europe, Asia, and South America. Meanwhile, the national farm gate price averaged at 1,181 shillings, which is equivalent to 0.32 of US dollars, while the retail price is averaged at 1,667 per liter Uganda shillings. Now, this puts the Ugandan dairy sector at a nominal value of Uganda shillings 3.8 trillion. These were all slightly higher than the prices for the last financial year, which is 2021. And the northern eastern milk sheds continue to record higher prices for both farm gate and retail prices. And that's why we are putting our efforts in terms of developing that area of the country to ensure that we have enough milk to stabilize the prices at retail. Now, regardless of the milk prices, the industry continues to fetch positive balance of trade in the dairy products. Export of dairy bounced back to 102.6 million US dollars of value in 21-22 from 92.4 million US dollars in the previous year, compared to 4.2 million US dollars in imports. So there is very good export-import balance, where we are looking at more exported products going and less being imported. The new import destinations include USA and Somalia. The overall milk production rose significantly from previous year 2.81 billion liters to the current 3.2 billion. And this was also seen despite the reported drought in selected milk sheds in the country. The rise of national milk production is attributed to significant production in the northeastern and midwestern milk sheds, where primarily this is due to the adoption of improved high milk yielding breeds and the increased accessibility of DDA staff and resources to the dairy farmers through regional office establishment. We have the regional office in Chiboga to serve the Midwest, and another regional office in Soroti to look at the northeastern region. And now this has brought the services closer to the farmers, and we are seeing that stable increase. Coupled with the sustained training of farmers, distribution of demonstration inputs, average milk production reached on average 4.8 liters per cow across the region. Licensed milk collection centers have also increased from 475 with a total installed capacity of 2.2 million liters per day from the previous year to 547 with a total of 2.3 million liters, and this report under reporting. And to match this rising production, we are continuing to establish more milk collection centers for cold chain infrastructure. Meanwhile, the licensing of the processing plants have increased from 116 last year to 160 in 2022, with average installed capacity of 3.4 million liters. These mainly are cottages and are responding to the economic effects of COVID-19 pandemic. And milk processing capacity stands at an average of 2.3 million liters, with more than 21 milk products processed across the country. Our main cottage intervention is looking at twofold: to increase the value addition but also getting products closer to the consumers and having a variety of processed products. So that is the DDA's intervention that is happening and has seen most processing facilities coming up. The authority has continued to guarantee and sustain the safety of the dairy products for consumption and trade. A higher proportion of milk products tested for quality and trade requirements continue to pass the conformity tests in both regional and national laboratories. Also in an effort to increase milk production and enhance productivity, the authority trained farmer groups who are in cooperatives and associations across the country, and we have trained more than 8,532 dairy farmers in modern dairy farming practices such as feed production, good husbandry practices, management and utilization of feed, disease identification and prevention, hygienic milk production, value addition, strengthening of groups through record keeping and governance, and the key emphasis on climate smart agriculture to increase milk production, because as you are aware, climate change is here to stay, so we have to see the technologies that can mitigate and adapt to the environment. Furthermore, the farmers were supported with dairy farming inputs such as milking machines, milking cans, chaff cutters, milking buckets, pasture seeds, to ensure that we have modern farming, but also support the intensive farmers in the dairy industry.
All right, now, by the look of things here, when you look at the key highlights from the report, 3.2 billion liters of milk were produced last year, and there was a 6.5% of the national agriculture's domestic, that is the national agriculture's gross domestic product, which increased. Then 89% of livestock derived exports, and 547 licensed milk collection centers so far within the country. 547. Then there are 79 dairy farmers, dairy farmer cooperatives, and 88 farmer groups that were supported by the Dairy Development Authority. 79 dairy farmer cooperatives, and then what you could call SACCOs, then 88 farmer groups that were supported still by the DDA. Now, we also have 160 licensed processing plants with an installed capacity of 3.4 million liters. This is still with the highlights from this DDA report. Then $102.6 million of the dairy exports coming in this particular morning, rather from this same report. This was worth of the dairy exports that Uganda made. That is for the dairy products that were exported out of the country, $102.6 million worth of those exports. Then 1,136 dairy businesses countrywide were registered by the Dairy Development Authority as of last year. So if your business is not registered amongst the 1,136, you seem to be operating illegally. Then also the inspected dairy premises within the country included 4,319. Out of the 4,319, 1,136 were registered. Then 41 enforcement operations were set out within also, according to the report. So 41 enforcement operations that was done by the Dairy Development Authority to ensure that they work upon the issues to do with who isn't following what the Dairy Development Authority has laid upon in regards to the annual report from these particular stakeholders as well. Now, also still with the highlights, 8,535 stakeholders were skilled by the Dairy Development Authority within that space. Now, joining me, of course, to at least analyze more of this report, I do have Bareja Andrew this morning as we go deeper in looking through the details to do with the Dairy Development Authority and this report of the annual performance which was released on Friday. Good morning, Andrew.
Very good morning. How are you doing?
I'm okay. So by the look of things, you get to realize that at least there is a very huge increase in regards to the kind of exports, for example, or exports of the dairy products.
Yeah.
And not only that, but also there is an increase in the liters produced.
That is really good. And also, the most interesting news about this was that Ugandan milk hitting Algerian market. And that is something very, very, very interesting, because as you compare, the consumption of milk in Uganda is low as compared to, because the per capita consumption is about 62 liters. Yet according to the World Health Organization, it recommends about 200 liters. That's, I think, on an annual monthly best like consumption of milk. So you find that like there has been a little bit of a gap like regarding the surplus, and trying to see that how best can we really distribute of this surplus, and that is something really very, 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 can I say, I don't know how to bring it, but something very important to the country's, can I say, earnings from exports. But now also take a look at Kenya. In East Africa, actually, Uganda seem to be having to be one of the most established sort of a milk hub of that sort. And now coming back to the East African community, that gives us a certain competitive advantage that this does not only look into Uganda, but we can see the role as we play as the East African bloc to ensure that we become a milk hub to distribute to other places of Africa. And that is really, really good. I remember some time back there was an initiative by the Ministry of Health about consumption of milk in schools, where schools were told to really take milk. I don't know how far people really took that initiative, but I believe that was one of the ways we could increase that consumption, getting to understand why do we need this milk, why do people really take milk as a result of that, so to ensure that not only should we maximize on the exports of milk, but also we can look into the domestic market at the same time, because the consumption of milk per capita here in Uganda is still down as compared to the liters that we consume vis-a-vis what the World Bank recommends, the World Health Organization recommends rather.
And of course, when you look at this issue here, according to the State Minister the State Minister for Animal Industry, Honorable Lieutenant Colonel, retired, that is Bright Ramirama, says that Uganda's dairy sector continues to play a pivotal role in wealth creation at household level, as well as improving the nutrition and health of the people. Because by the figures here, the sector accounts for 6.5% of the nation's agricultural gross domestic product. That is in regards to dairy. And by the look of things as well, in regards to the kind of dairy products being exported out, includes more to do with packed milk, then powdered milk, which is also one of the highly recommended, especially when it comes to the Ugandan milk here. When you look at that, the packaged powdered milk, the latto milk that is actually being packaged out, then we've also got a high demand for our milk products. Then the other milk products that have actually been, or other, when it comes to value addition, the other products that have been able to actually come from the milk, that includes yogurt, talk of biscuits, talk of cakes, and all other kind of confectionery that is done with the milk. Now, of course, as Bridget Andrews has mentioned here, when it comes to the consumption, as when you look at what the World Health Organization does recommend, it is one of the reasons as to why there were discussions that schools would definitely put milk onto their particular diet for the pupils and students. Of course, there's some schools, a few of which, depending on the kind of school fees, of course, that they demand from the parents, there are a few of the schools who have milk at least onto their diet twice or once a week, which is highly recommended, of course, but due to the fact that it's a bit expensive for most of the schools, so others opt out to go in for at least more of, let's say, kachai that we normally know of here in Uganda. But by the talk of things here, when you look at this kind of performance, you would see that the Dairy Development Authority has done a lot to now start supporting the local farmers out there, especially those involving in this sector.
Exactly. I think that is a good idea, but I would think that we should also put efforts when it comes to value addition. How best can we perfect this? Because, when you're processing this milk, it's not all about saying that, when I do the value addition, everything will be okay. But it also, now like what you've mentioned about helping the farmers, they need to understand how best can we have this quality of milk, so that by the time it's being put into the value addition, it's really made much more perfect and much more excellent in a way. In that way, it comes back to including, they need to know how best can you really feed a cow to give you the best milk. How often, what are those dynamics, what sorts of medicine should be given. Like back in the days, they could tell us, you can test meat and you know that this cow, probably the way this cow was fed, the quality is not good, and despite the fact that you try to process that meat and export it, it's not going to be as effective as that. So how I wish these farmers should be trained, the small scale farmers, to plan to really produce this milk, that is really quality, that even when it comes to the value addition, it just made much more excellent in a way. That would be my appeal regarding that. The target should be quality for value addition.
All right, and as Berija has mentioned, quality for value addition, and of course, value addition also includes movement in regards to powdered milk that is actually on high demand out of the country. Looking at other products that are made out of the milk, you look at the biscuits, you look at yogurt, you look at most of these particular products that are quite many in there. But as we are briefly ending this particular discussion, the Dairy Development Authority, for just a simple brief for you, was created under Section 5 of the Dairy Industry Act 1998, and the Dairy Development Authority is a semi-autonomous body which is under the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries. And one of the key mandates they have by law is to develop and regulate the dairy industry by ensuring that all dairy value chain activities respond to the needs of the nation. And so that is a brief of the Dairy Development Authority. And of course, this is regards to the annual performance report, which was released on Friday. That is at the Uganda Media Center. And with that, we now do come to the end of our particular business updates of the day. But besides that, also remember to invest now that the markets on the Zabo platform are officially opened. It's 26 minutes off the hour of 8 o'clock. The markets opened at 8:15 in the morning, and that means they will be closing at 3:15 in the afternoon. So all you need to do is invest in securities, and of which amongst the securities they are government bonds, which are more possible. With just 15,000 Ugandan shillings, you can select a preferred maturity period for the bonds that you think it is wise for you to invest today. *292# is the USSD code that you will definitely need to use and invest today as possible as it goes. Zabu says, my money, my future, all exist Africa, do something new. Of course, and remember to invest as much as you can. The markets are only fully closed on the weekends and on public holidays. Zabu, my money, my future, all exist Africa, do something new. After the break, we shall be returning with the latest from sports business and, of course, entertainment business with Berija Andrew. Stick around. Good morning.